All right, we'll kick things off talking to the coaches for this final series. It's going to be a ripper. We're talking to the top of the table, Lawn Football Club coach, Brock Shields. They finished on top with a record of 14 wins, 2 losses, and they are definitely the benchmark of 2013. Brock, thanks for joining me this afternoon. How'd you rate the season?
Yeah, look, I'm pretty happy from a consistency point of view, and that's, you know, we wanted to add depth to our list and consistency to the results this year, which probably, you know, the boys were a little bit up and down with results last year and consistency, but that was also related to the depth that they had in the group. So yeah, this year, you know, technically losing only 2 games between the reserves and seniors has been a great effort.
It goes into a final series being on top on the seniors and top in the reserves. You're in a pretty good position, aren't you?
Yeah, look, you know, we've worked hard to get to this position. You know, realistically, it gives us a week off to rest a few bodies. So, you know, that's probably the main positive. But in saying that, it probably puts a bigger target on our back in 2 weeks' time when whoever wins out of this week's game. So, you know, there's positives and negatives, but, you know, I'd definitely rather be in our position at the moment.
I'll throw a stat up to you, Brock. I don't know if you like footy stats or you just throw them out the door, but the last, was it 4 sides that have had the first week off have actually ended up losing the semi-final and having to play the prelim, but then went on to win the grand final, however. Do you read anything like that? Is it just the fact that a week off might be a disadvantage or it's an advantage? But just going on the stats, this is just, it's what's happened over the last 5 years in the CDFL, and then actually the previous 2 years before that one Illawarra BAC Premiership when they did actually beat Lawn and went in to the final series and won the semi-final and the grand final. It was Lawn the year before that lost the semi-final and then went on to the prelim and then won the grand final. Do you read anything out of that?
Oh, I suppose you do, because it's happened more often than once, I suppose. You know, we probably, you know, it's not one stat that I would have looked back on, but now that you've told me, then, you know, it's something I suppose you can mention to the group. But, you know, we feel like we're well prepared. You know, we've played, you know, Apollo Bay twice this year, and, you know, we've played Imperials once this year, and we'll get a good look at them both this weekend. And, you know, we've got 2 weeks to put in a preparation to ourselves and our game, and, you know, whatever happens in 2 weeks' time happens, I suppose, win, lose or draw, and, you know, we'll be confident that we're going to win, no matter what. So,
what's one thing, Brock, that if there was a disadvantage, you see a little tweak in your side that you do want to fix over the finals, or do you think that maybe, if we don't improve in that area, that might actually hurt us? Other sides might expose us. Is there a weakness that you feel that you really need to tighten on during the finals?
Not specifically as such. You know, it all depends on conditions as well that you're playing in. But I suppose, you know, throughout the year, we've tended to have lapses during games, and, you know, rather than, you know, letting a lapse go for 5 sort of minutes and changing things up, we've tended to sort of go with it and go a bit lazy for probably 10, 15 minutes, half a quarter type thing, and just be content to play a little bit of back to, you know, kick to kick type footy, you know, and be content with, you know, if we win the footy and they win the footy, and, you know, playing sort of nothing footy for, you know, a period of a game, and not being ruthless enough, and then being able to change the way we're playing, sort of thing. So that's, you know, probably one area. But you know, other than that, you know, you can pick things from game to game, but, you know, nothing really consistently, I suppose.
What's one big advantage for Lawn? You go, all right, if we do this, we're going to win the finals. We're going to win a premiership. What's one thing that you really have to focus on this final series?
It's just work rate. Work rate and effort. Real simple stuff for us. You know, the simple stuff can let you down. You know, we feel we've got a fairly strong talent pool within our list. And, you know, we're confident in our ability, but, you know, that ability won't get you anywhere unless there's effort and hard work and work rate put behind it. And, you know, that's what the second half of our season sort of been about, and we're trying to bring that into our game first, and then the talent will take us that next step, I suppose. So, yeah, just real simple work rate. You know, smarts around the footy, communication around the footy.
Yep, you might shrug this question off a little, but is it Lawn's premiership to lose?
we're on top of the ladder. We've lost technically one game for the year. It's anyone's to win, it's anyone's to lose, I suppose. Until we haven't even played a final yet, so we've got to get there. And if we get there, then technically it probably is ours to lose. But if we don't, then it's someone else's. So we just got to the old cliche, 1 week at a time for us at the moment. Got to get over that first one and get ourselves into the grand final first.
Just on a couple of players, Lee Holmer. I know he's played the last 2 games. He played in the reserves the week before seniors on Saturday. How's he travelling? What's his percentage rate coming in the finals? Are you confident that he could get through?
Yeah, look, I've got no worries that he won't get through from a physical point of view.
Yep.
Lee's had to reinvent himself in a way really quickly as a footballer. He's been that dominant ruckman for quite a while, but with his injury, he's unable to ruck. So he has to sort of reinvent himself as more of a running type player that needs to probably play more outside and defensively and a little bit more. So look, it's a work in progress, and unfortunately, we just haven't had the time as such to get that in place. But from his first game that he played 2 weeks ago in the reserves till Saturday when he played on the seniors, he's already made great improvement.
Yep, that's pretty good to hear. Just on a couple of your forwards, mate. Luke Norton, I know he's had a hamstring problem the last the month. Has it hampered his finals campaign? I know he kicked a couple of goals on the weekend, but then you got Louis Homer, who kicked 8 goals, and you got Ryan Evans that can slot a few goals as well. But just how is Luke travelling?
Yeah, Luke's been fine. It's more been his back than anything. It's sort of hamstrings felt tight, but it was running. We found out it was running mostly down from his back. But Luke hasn't had the best month of footy, but we've played in 2 shocking days. One down at Apollo Bay and one at Birregurra last week, where no one could possibly kick goals. Consistently had a tall, and then he played half a game against South, and we basically rested him because he felt a bit of tightness, and then he missed the Forest game, and so the weekend he probably didn't have his best game, but he had a really good last quarter, and that hopefully will give him a bit of confidence, moving into the finals.
What about Jackson Barham, Brock? Wouldn't it be nice to have him in the other side?
Yeah, look, he's qualified. That's about it at the moment. We're pretty hopeful. The way things have fallen, it probably suits us a little better. I think they've played a Friday night game, that first final against Bendigo, who haven't won a game. So, we're hoping that, maybe that they'll release him for that week and come and have a kick with us, with a game that's, they basically have to turn up in a sense. So, we're hoping that, we've been in some communication with the boys down at VFL, but, we won't know that until next week.
He's having a pretty good VFL season though, Brock, so it'll be good to see him playing a VFL premiership as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Just on also the group, the Casey Tatungi situation, mate, has it have it any effect of the players' group, or has it really made them inspire just a bit more?
Look, boys were down for a bit, and they're probably down to an extent now, but probably haven't noticed a huge difference. Probably the Apollo Bay game, there was probably a bit of a difference because the South Barwon boys come down, and there was some strong feeling that day as such. But look, come finals time, we'll definitely will be part of us in the finals, I think, and the boys, such an inspiration he is before he had his accident. But he just epitomises how we want to play our finals footy. He plays like a finals footballer. So, fingers crossed that, he's making some steady progress himself, which is great news for the boys, and that's lifting us at the same time. And, being able to raise all this money for him has lifted the club, and, we're not going to use it as him as a motivation as such, but he'll be part of our thoughts anyway.
That was a good answer, Brock. Just on your premiership, mate, you just mentioned it before. Is it yours to lose? What are any sides out there that you think that he's going to basically be your big challenges? Is there one side that you go, all right, if we play this side, we have to be really, really on this week?
Oh, I suppose I'd have to say Imps because they've beaten us.
Yeah.
We didn't play very well that day, and we had a few injuries, and we covered probably 18 players for 2/4 of the game. We had a few excuses, but
yeah.
I see Imps and Apollo Bay as probably two different teams.
Yeah.
Imps, Apollo Bay probably match up from a Tall's point of view a lot better than us, whereas Imps probably match up a lot better through the running department, I suppose. And they're a running team, and they've got some class through their midfield, and they've got a lot of depth through their midfield, and they're quite versatile. Whereas Apollo Bay, they've probably got some really strong Talls that they look to, I suppose, for their their form, I suppose.
All right, Brock, thanks for joining me this afternoon, mate, and looking forward to a very entertaining final series, and good luck with the Lawn Footy Club.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, mate. That was fantastic. All right, now I'm speaking to the Colac Imperials coach, Russell Whitefoot. They finished second on the ladder, 13 wins and 3 losses. A big final series ahead. They're the only sides that have officially defeated Lawn during the home and away season, and there's a lot of expectation going around about the Imperials for this season. Russell, thanks for joining me this afternoon, mate.
Yeah, no worries, Max.
Okay, firstly, the second half of the year probably hasn't been the greatest run. 4 wins, 3 losses since that game against Lawn, mate.
Yep.
Is there any concerns headed into the finals, especially on Saturday against Apollo Bay, which a side you did lose to during the year?
Yeah, look, we don't have any concerns heading into finals. We haven't had the best run from the second half of the year, probably even since we had the double buys early on in the year.
Yeah.
And then again, we had a bye and come out. And didn't play too well after it again in the second half of the year. But look, we had such a great start, and we knew we'd sort of sewn up a final spot, just over halfway through the year. So the boys are really sort of looking forward to the end of the year and the big stage.
Awesome, mate. Just on a couple occasions, though, when it has been wet, we did spoke off air about how bad the weather's been.
Yeah.
2 occasions, Alvey, I know you did struggle, but you pinched the game, and then against the Western Eagles a couple of weeks ago. If it does rain come finals, is there going to be a bit of concern about that? You haven't played too well in the wet.
Look, I think we haven't played well in the wet. I think it's just a matter of adjusting our game style early on in the year, and particularly pre-season. We're trying to play a new style of footy. We're drilling that in. We hadn't really spoken at all about playing wet weather footy, and I think it's just something that you expect most people just to adjust to.
Yeah.
But we really did need to practice it and just talk about how we play that sort of wet weather footy, and everyone knows just that traditional wet weather footy and forcing the ball forward, and we were just overusing it and coughing it up and trying to use our skills, and it just wasn't working for us. So, look, I think come finals time, if we have a wet final, I think the boys can adjust and really lift their intensity, and there's so much more on the line. So I think we can get the job done whether it's wet or dry.
Have you been, surprised with the way your side or your season has been? 13-3. I think a lot of us probably expected maybe you guys would finish 4th and 5th, and maybe 11 wins on the board. Like that first half of the year, it was just incredible football, especially that win against Lawn. The transition of play was sensational. Have you been really surprised, or were you sort of just this is probably I was expecting this?
Yeah, look, we probably weren't expecting it. I think coming into the season, talking with the president and some of the people at the club, the aim was definitely to play finals.
Yep.
We thought we were going to be able to do that, and probably after about 9 or 10 rounds in, we sort of had a chat and thinking, well, we're a shot at top 3 here, so you sort of reevaluate your goals and sort of keep pushing forward. But having said that, look, I think the fact that we were undefeated and pushing for top of the ladder or top 3, I think we might have just got a little bit complacent on the track, for a few weeks in the middle of the season, and it certainly showed when teams were coming out and knocking us off.
We did a little thing at the end of our broadcast on the weekend just about one player that needs to probably step up and could have a real impact in the finals, and your name popped up 3 times.
Yeah.
Do you feel that it's probably important that you step up? I know you've had a pretty good year and you've come back from injury, but this is the time that yourself as the coach and probably the position you do play in, if you step up and have a good final series, it's going to help the side enormously.
Yeah, look, I think so. I think, I've played in a couple of different positions this year, but, I think, from a coaching point of view, I can see more on the ground and I can probably give a bit more direction if I'm playing up forward, as opposed to playing through the midfield, for example. And I think also just give us that little bit of structure too. I can tell other forwards sort of where to go and where to push to and give that bit of direction. And I think, certainly, if I have good games of footy, then, we'll go a long way towards having a good result. But, it's not, I know you're looking at individuals that need to step up, and, I think I don't sort of feel that pressure's all coming onto me because I suppose I'm a coach as well. So, I've got to look at what we're doing with the rest of the team as well. So,
no, that's pretty good. Just on one thing that you probably need to improve on come the big game on Saturday and also for the 4 weeks in the finals. What's one area you think you guys, that's your weakness and you really need to hone in on and challenge it out come finals?
Look, I think on the weekend we certainly played a lot better footy and we had good weather conditions. So it might depend a little bit on the weather. I think if it's going to be wet and slippery, definitely a weakness will be overusing the footy. And really just to simplify the game, not to overuse the footy. Thinking about the last time we played Apollo Bay, probably just getting your hands on the ball first and winning it. They've got some really good midfielders, so we've got the ability to break away and run with the footy, but you've got to get your hands on the ball first. So, look, I think I'll be asking our midfielders and even our outside players and our runners and our skillful players that we've got to get in and get our hands on the ball first.
What's your number one asset come finals? What do you think is the one area, if you do 100% right in, that is your major strength, you'll go on and be successful in the finals?
Well, I think it's our run and carry
and
our rebounding. I think we've got a tremendous half-back line, and I think our rebounding, switching the play, running and carrying, we've set up a lot of goals that way. So that's probably the one thing that I think can get it done, especially when we come up to playing on a ground like Central Reserve.
Are you confident that you could win the premiership this season?
Yeah, I am. I'm putting us in the mix there. I think, certainly getting there is the challenge, but come that last day, if we're there, I'm sure that we can have a crack and really take it to whoever we're playing against.
It's a pretty easy answer, but who do you think your challenges are this season?
Yeah, look, I think Lorne have proven that they're sort of the benchmark of the side, and you look at their percentage and the fact that they just keep dominating week after week. So the fact that we got up over them does give us that little bit of confidence and maybe give us that little bit of edge mentally that, if we can be with them throughout the game, it puts that doubt in their mind. So, but they're certainly the challenger. And look, Apollo Bay have proved that they're not going to be easy beats too. And when they had a good start to the year, I think everyone was sort of waiting to see whether they were going to be the real deal. And they certainly proved that they are. And they've got a pretty good spine and a really good midfield, so they're going to be tough this week. What
about the mob across the road from you guys down at Elindamite? Would you be worried if you had to cross paths with them?
Yeah, look, I wouldn't say that I'll be worried, but I know that it'll be a pretty tough game. Yeah. And look, South, I think they're certainly in a position to do a bit of damage, and I think they might get up this weekend. And so we've got to make sure we win this game so that we don't face them the following week.
Russell, thanks for joining us, mate. Best of luck for the finals, and it's going to be an exciting one. I know a lot of Colac Imperials supporters, including one, Karen Parker's getting very, very excited down there at the Catland.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, mate. Now speaking to Apollo Bay coach Tyson Holt. Tyson, good afternoon, mate.
How you going?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. 13-3, the Hawks record this season, a fantastic one. Definitely compared to the last couple of years, it's been a real positive season. You must be looking forward to the final series this year.
Yeah, it's definitely good to be back playing footy in finals, and it's it's an exciting time, so we're looking forward to it.
Now, you take a look at the second half ladder. That's how I sort of rate the sides heading into the finals. You judge them by, I guess, the form they carry. And you're about as good as the top side, Lorne. You've only had the one loss in the second half of the year, and that was against Lorne in that horrible day down there at Apollo Bay when the ground was just bathed in mud. How have you rated the second half of the year and also the season in general?
Yeah, look, our second half's been really good, and the positive thing is that we're able to run out the games. So we've had a lot of close games. So we're under no illusion that we're not, any chance other than to play the side we're playing each week. But look, we're winning the games that are tight, so that's pleasing.
And I guess the couple of times we got you early broadcasting, it just seemed like you have a great midfield, you have a great defence, but the thing that sort of really did, undermine you guys was definitely your forward line. But adding Nick Casbolt there, he's come in and he's booted sets of 5 and 4 goals. He real provides that real target for you guys, and it just seems like to be the missing ingredient to a successful year.
Yeah, it has been. We sort of set our sights on a key forward early in the season, but a couple of things fell through, and then we're lucky enough to get Nick on board, who's friends with Marty White. So he's been a positive. But along with that, our spread of goal kickers has been good.
Yeah.
We were able to kick goals from all over the park, so that would be a worrying concern, I think, for a few sides as to who they're going to match up on.
Also, Carl McSparron too, coming back mid-year. He seems to be been in the best pretty much every game in the second half of the year as well. His form's really hot coming into the finals. How important is he for Apollo Bay?
Yeah, look, really important, and given that we're able to rest him for our last home game, he sets things up in the middle, and he's so mobile around the ground that he's an important part of our side for sure.
What's one thing that will worry you come finals time, Tyson? What's one thing you sort of think, if we do this wrong, it's going to affect us? Just something like that.
Oh, look, probably our movement of the ball. Yeah. We're fairly attacking, and we like to hit the areas where that if we don't quite hit the target, we open ourselves up. So we're pretty aggressive in how we attack. But in saying that, if we don't use our skills properly, we can get scored heavily against as well. So our skills have got to be on song, and we'll be right, I think. What's
one thing that you will come into the finals positive about? What's one thing that if Apollo Bay do right, you guys will be successful this final series?
Probably our tackle pressure.
Yep.
I think we hunt the ball really well, and especially the ball carrier. So look, it's been proven in CDFL that if you can put pressure on the bloke with the ball, they generally turn it over. So, that's the thing that we've been concentrating on, is just getting that forward pressure and making the skills, lower down a bit.
What about Hamish Tamling? Will we see in the final series?
It's a possibility.
Yep. What's the percentage rate? Any higher? 90%, 50%, 10%?
Look, we'll leave it at 50-50, and then everyone can guess from there.
Yeah. How do you find the structure of your midfield, though? He pretty much seems to have gelled over the last 6 weeks. Do you think maybe putting this player into that side, will it off-balance the team a little bit? Do you have any worries about that?
No, definitely not. And look, it's not about just putting a player into the side either. Hamish has done all the work.
Yep.
And look, if his knee comes up, he'll definitely come back in. And the boys, will be excited to get a player like Hamish back in the side, so it'll have no effect on how we're going at all.
If what are the sides that are going to challenge you guys for the premiership? I guess they are. It's a pretty obvious questions, but who do you think are the sides that you're going to have to really put up a real fight against?
Look, Lorna obviously the standout,
yep.
But in saying that, we've had some mixed outcomes with them in that we played them round 1 and then played them in the mud.
Yep.
So both of us would be going into a dry day on the central unknown of what we're capable of against each other.
Yep.
But the other side, definitely that has potential to go a long way south. Now that they've made it. I think they're a good outfit.
They were pretty. Were you impressed with them on Saturday?
I was. It wasn't. The first half conditions were fairly windy, which is very hard when sides travel down to the bay. Is to negate that wind and work out what to do. But they never stopped coming, and they were pretty impressive actually.
Awesome, mate. Do you think, and honestly, can you win the premiership this season?
No, we definitely can. There's no doubt about it.
Awesome. Love to hear that, Tyson. Thanks for talking to me today.
All right, thanks.
I'm now speaking with Western Eagles coach Mark Carson. They finished the season off on 4th spot, 10 wins, 6 losses. It's their first finals appearance since 2005, and I think everyone down there at the Nest are pretty excited, especially you, Carson. You must be pretty excited as well, mate.
Yeah, definitely, mate. It's been 2 years in the making, and we've worked extremely hard since January this year, mate. And it all come to fruition with that good win a couple of weeks ago over Imperial.
Yeah, before then, Carso, there was a few results. I think a lot of people, when they were getting on to their ladder predictions, Birregurra, yourself and South Colac were fighting for that last spot, including Alvey as well. But you were losing to some of those sides that you were playing against. Were you concerned about that sort of form? Because a lot of work that you did in the first half has actually paid off for the second half. But then that win against the Colac Imperials just, put the exclamation point into the finals. But were you concerned beforehand?
Oh, yes and no, really. I suppose, like you said, we worked so hard and started the year so well, and those early season wins are absolutely crucial for you. And, in some ways, they probably kept us afloat in that middle part of the year when our form, had wavered a little bit. But, we finished the season off really well. We won our last 4 games, in fairly heavy conditions, and, those conditions probably don't overly suit the side. Our style of footy is that open running style of footy, and those big heavy wet days aren't really great. So it's probably a fair credit to the boys, I think. Considering the way the weather went and the determination they showed over those past 4 weeks after we lost to Birregurra. We really went back to the drawing board and it was do or die each week. And the most pleasing thing was, though, with beating Imperials, we weren't relying on other results. We knew before that game that, if we could get the 4 points against a good side and beat a side that was above us, which we hadn't done all year, not only would it cement our place in the finals, but it'd certainly give us that belief going forward that we were good enough to be able to beat anybody.
You've got a side that's probably on the catalyst. If you all peaked or played well, you probably could beat anyone in the league. I think just the one area is that sometimes you do have players that are not playing well and some of them playing really well. Do you feel as a coach, if you have all 22 players playing exactly right and playing up to their strengths, you could beat anyone?
Absolutely, and we've felt that all year. And I particularly, I reckon, if you looked at our form over the first 4 games, we were playing a style of footy that was quick, it was fast flowing, we were scoring heavily. But in hindsight, sides were scoring quite heavily against us. So mid-season we went back to the drawing board and we looked at probably working a little bit harder on our defence, which in some ways we probably concentrated extremely heavily on that, which in a way, it affected our offensive play. So, we sort of feel over the past 4 or 5 weeks we've got the balance right, and we're playing some good footy, and we've got the right players coming into form at the right time. So, if we, as you said, mate, if we have 22 blokes contributing this week against South Colac or whoever we play, going forward, then we're confident enough that we'll be able to beat anybody. But footy's a funny game, so who knows how things will pan out.
What's one area that you need to improve on, you feel, come finals or come Sunday, mate, that's maybe just a little bit concerning to you that you need to tweak? What's one area that you feel that is your weakness?
Oh, look, in all honesty, we haven't played 4 quarters all year. Even knocking over a side like Imperials, we probably only played 3 and a bit quarters. So, I feel that if we can put 4 quarters on the board of really good, hard, contested footy, then, that'll be good enough to get the job done against nearly any side. So, we sort of, at the start of the year, with so many new blokes coming in, we knew it wasn't going to just happen overnight. But as I said, we sort of feel as a club and as a playing group that over the past 4 or 5 weeks, there's been some really, really positive signs. And, as I said, mate, 4 quarters of footy from any side is normally good enough to beat anybody. But, obviously the challenge you've got coming into final series is that the sides you're playing, they're good sides as well. So, there's going to be changes of momentum right throughout a game, and whoever can control that momentum for the longest period is going to be good enough to win the game. What's
your number one strength? What's one thing that you reckon if you put 100% into, you'll go on and have a successful campaign?
Oh, it really is hard to say, mate. I don't think there's any one thing. There's a number of factors that contribute to any side playing good footy and winning games of footy. So, we'll just work on the things we've worked on, quite heavily over the past 4 or 5 weeks. And as I said, if we do all of them really well, then, I'm confident enough that we'll be able to win. So, look, Sunday, it's even a different that's something different in itself. We haven't played a Sunday game all year. So, I think for both sides, it's whichever side adapts the best and adapts the quickest to conditions and all that sort of thing. That'll be the side that probably, hopefully gets the points, and hopefully that's us.
Coming from fourth, mate, but do you feel that you've, as I said, do all those things that you said you can tick box, do you feel that you could win the premiership?
Oh, most definitely, mate. And if I didn't believe it, well, that's pointless being there. So I've seen funny things happen in sport, mate. Footy and cricket. I've seen, Torquay win a flag for finishing fifth, and I've seen Dandenong in the Premier Cricket win a flag for finishing eighth. So, I don't think it matters where you finish in some respects. I think that the side that's got the form on the board going into finals and has got a fresh and pretty much an injury-free list, that they can cause grief to anybody, particularly the Central Reserve, which is a fairly open ground, a fairly big ground. So, if you're fit and full of run, then you can cause trouble to anybody, and we've seen that, numerous times in the past.
Yep. Who's your best side that who do you think's the best side you've played against?
Probably in the first half of the year, I really rated, Imperials. They gave us a real touch-up early in the year, and, to be honest, you talk to the Imperials blokes, they probably couldn't have played any better, and we probably couldn't have played any worse. So each side has strengths. I think South Colac spread well. I think Imps, they can cut you to ribbons with their precise kicking, and I think Lorne's height can be a real danger as well. And then you've got Apollo Bay, who play a really hard contested brand of footy. So each side's got their strengths, and there's going to be different tactics and strategies going into each game to be able to beat someone. So look, it's just a matter of, as I said, adaptability is going to be crucial over the next, not just this week, but if we go forward over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Awesome, mate. Thank you very much for talking to me today, Carso, and best of luck for the finals.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
All right, on the line now, we're speaking to South Colac coach Tim Foley. They finished fifth. They just snuck into the finals, but we're looking forward to them. They've had a great second half of the season. Tim, good afternoon, mate.
Afternoon, Max. How are we?
Not too bad. I'm presuming when you were heading down to Apollo Bay last Saturday, thinking if you did lose, you probably wouldn't be playing final series. Have you guys shook hands with any of the Illawarra back players or congratulated them and thanked them at all this week?
I got very quickly got a text message from Kevin Armstrong after the game, looking for, I suppose, a bit of a thank you. Yeah. But it was probably unexpected. But Illawarra too have been playing some decent footy in the second half as well.
For you guys, Tim, since that Simpson game, I think probably if you lost that game, finals chances were going to be very, very slim, and then all of a sudden you just started this massive roll. Was it expected? Well, what was the turning point?
Probably looking at the draw, I probably calculated that we could maybe lose one game from that Simpson game through to the finals, and probably make sure we made it, and that was, the long game we dropped. So I suppose we've been a little bit lucky in getting through the Apollo Bay one last round. We've always had, I think, the side to be able to play finals footy, but it was just getting everyone on the park at the same time and getting some consistent footy going, which we were lucky enough to start that at Simpson and progress through Imps and Eagles and Birregurra and on from there.
A lot of coaches have given you guys praise too when they've played against you this second half of the year. When I've asked who do you think your challenges would be, a lot of them have actually mentioned South Colac. It's a tough one though from fifth spot, but we've seen it in a few leagues. Bell Park in the GFL last year, Tim, you would know that came from fifth to play off in a grand final, so it's not impossible.
No, it's not, and I suppose you look at it, we've been playing elimination finals since about the 8th round, so we get used to it now, and it's just another game and another week for us.
Have you got any stress levels up being a coach for the year, mate? How have you handled the year?
No, I really enjoyed it. The first probably 6 or 8 games were frustrating because we lost a few close ones after being, I suppose, having good leads. We were 7 goals up against Inch round 1. We were 7 goals up just before half-time against Forest in about round 6 or 7. And probably sitting even or in front in probably 5 out of our 6 first games and only won 2 of them. So, we knew our best is just as good, but it's a consistency that we struggled with in the first half, which goes along with being frustrated, mate. If you've got a team that playing to their 100% capacity and still aren't good enough, well, you know, you sit back and say, okay, we're doing all we can, but when we weren't doing it for 4 quarters, that's the frustrating side.
Well, you did miss Jake O'Dwyer and Ben Cox for a large proportion of the season. They've come back and, you know, really put the foot on and played some pretty good footy. Another one too, Freddie Nordiger as well, mate. We love him up in the box. We get excited when he gets around the footy because he does create a bit of magic. We must like him as a coach as well.
Yeah, certainly. He's coming halfway through the season and giving us another target up forward to try and stretch some guys and some teams. So yeah, he's a bit of an excitement machine, but yeah, we'll just see how he goes in the next few weeks, whether he can recover from his slight injury he's got.
Yeah, how bad is it? I know he played on the weekend.
Yeah, he only lasted about a half on the weekend, so we've just got to assess and see how he goes. You know, he's probably going to struggle to feature in the early finals, but if we can go a few weeks in, we might be able to get him back for the important end.
All right, what's one thing, Tim, that you guys, if South Colac, what's one thing that you think if you don't do well in, it will make you lose on the weekend? Just one area that you need to really improve on.
Mate, probably our defensive side. We know that if our defensive side of our game's on, our attack sort of looks after itself. Yep. But if we don't have defensive pressure on the other side, it doesn't give our forwards an opportunity. We've got enough firepower down there with, as you said, Freddie and Cox, Sean Harrington playing deep forward, or Jamison, Tim Spears. There's plenty of guys there that can kick us some goals, but if we haven't got enough pressure around the footy, it doesn't matter who you got down forward, mate. It makes no difference. So probably our defensive pressure's our key. What's
one thing if you do absolutely 100% will make you win or go deep in September that you feel South Colac need to do?
Oh, I think the consistency aspect of it. You know, we probably only played 2.5 quarters against the Polar Bar on the weekend and get rolled by under a kick. Yeah. So I think our 4-quarter stuff that we've played this year, we played it against, you know, Ince and come away with a win. We played probably 3.5 quarters against the Eagles and Birregurra and still come away with the win. So if we can string 4 consistent quarters of footy together, we'll be hard to beat by anyone, mate. Do you believe that you could go all the way this year? Oh, mate, I think you've got to have some sort of belief in that. If you don't, you know, you might as well give up now. So, you know, Lorne have proven they've been beaten once this year. Once officially. And you know, we were with them at half time in both games we played and got blown away in the second half due to a couple of factors. So we know what they are, and we've got to work on that if we're lucky enough to get to play them. But really, you can only look forward to this Sunday and try and get over the top of the Eagles. Perfect, Tim. Thanks for talking to me this afternoon, mate. No worries, mate. Now, are you going to tip us this week? I tipped you on the weekend and you got done. We got done, so don't tip us this week, mate. That's please. It. I can't put the mods on you. I can't win, mate. Yeah, good. Just tip the Eagles this week, mate.